Hey guys, it's Hima here. It is Chart of the Week time, and I'm covering streaming services stocks. Today is September 3rd, 2019. And before we dive into the charts, important reminder that trading and investing can be extremely risky business. Therefore, it's your responsibility to evaluate any information, opinion, advice, or other content contained in this video. So a couple of things have brought my attention to streaming stocks lately. I gotta give props to my husband, who is not sitting with me to record this tonight. I'm out of town visiting my family in New York. But we were talking about Roku and how the technology that Roku uses is really the core of a lot of video streaming services. So it's a kind of company that should perform well no matter how other streaming services do. So we're gonna start with that ticker, ROKU. As always, I like to use multi-time frame analysis. Here I've got a weekly chart on a bar form on the left, a daily chart in candle form on the right, with a moving average filter I use to help determine trend, and both charts have the RSI power zones at the bottom. So let's zoom into the weekly chart for a moment. Now you may look at this and say, Hima, why are you pointing out a stock that's already skyrocketed higher, right? If you're not long, where are you going to get a chance to get in? Well, that's the beauty of the RSI power zones, is they give you a more refined zone to check out for when a stock might truly be overbought, and then when a pullback occurs, that could be your chance to enter long. So this stock is what I would call, on the stock picks grid, a persistent uptrend, meaning if you're long, fantastic, but if you're not, it's not necessarily the greatest time to go long, because we'd prefer to get long on a pullback or a dip in the market. That's where we move to the daily chart to refine. So again, right now it's extended, but in a move like this, I would pay close attention to the 2-bar higher lows. So this is a way that Gann used to analyze runaway moves on stocks that were doing what you see here, putting in higher highs and higher lows per bar every day. So I would keep an eye on the August 29th session low, and then each day move forward one session out. If you're long, your trailing stop would be best placed below those levels if you want to capture as much profit, depending on where you got long from. And in order to take advantage of a pullback that might occur, like we had a brief one back here, we had a longer one back here, we had a one back here, keeping an eye on the break of the 2-bar low is a helpful tool as opposed to just the 1-bar low. So keeping an eye on the August 29th low for now on Roku. Now Disney is a stock that hasn't been known for streaming services for a long time, but you may have heard that they are coming out with one. And this is going to be, as far as I know, a monthly service, a lot like Netflix or Hulu. Now, Disney is a stock that happened to be featured in the stock picks grid tonight that I just updated as I do every Tuesday night. And I didn't do it because of this conversation on streaming stocks. I did it because of the technicals. So let's look at the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, this stock broke out of a multi-year base big time. It has since had a couple of moves higher and most recently been correcting lower. Now, its position on tonight's stock picks grid, which you can check out if you sign up for the Full Skinny Lifetime. If you already have access, you can just log into the Full Skinny to see the stock grid. The position of this stock on my tic-tac-toe-like stock grid is influenced by the activity of the RSI power zones, which is currently holding the bull support power zone. On the daily chart, if you take a look at my moving average filter and the RSI power zones, you'll see why the placement of that stock is where it is for tonight. So definitely something actionable in my eyes. Again, you can check out the Full Skinny Stock Picks grid for where Disney is. As for potential upside, because all of these I'm pointing out for potential upside, the initial upside target would be a return to the July 29th high. So as I mentioned, I am home visiting family. Had a nice break over the Labor Day weekend, and I'm staying in town for another week. So I'm enjoying a lot of time with my siblings who are great at catching me up on movies. So we have been watching quite a bit of Netflix, and this is a stock where they've got this big consolidative action that's been going on since last year, right? From a long-term point of view, it's kind of gone nowhere fast. And right now it's in a corrective move lower. As time elapses and this move persists, I think it's more of a correction than a new downtrend. I don't think Netflix is getting down to $200 or anything anytime soon. So it's something to keep an eye on where when it starts to get oversold in the short term, it might be a great long opportunity. Let's look at it on the daily chart to see if that's emerged. On the daily chart, we keep getting lower lows on price, but higher lows on the RSI. And this is an indication of the downside power kind of waning or slowing down. Not necessarily time to buy just yet, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Next support levels I would watch are in the $250 to $260 area. I'll throw two lines there to make that easy to follow. And this is a zone of support that I think will be very important for Netflix. Again, $250 to $260 per share. All right, Amazon. Now, Amazon, I'm including in the streaming conversation because of Amazon Prime Video services. And I'm a big tennis fan, so I was happy to see in the US Open last night Nadal win. And I was watching this on a TV that wasn't directly hooked up to a cable box. It had Fire Stick on it, which is Amazon's gadget, if you will. And because we have an ESPN cable service, we're able to log in and watch live tennis on a TV that's not hooked up to a cable box. I still think that's pretty cool, even though it's very commonplace now. So coming back to the actual chart of Amazon, I think it needs a little bit of time before it's truly actionable for a new move higher. But I think that momentum is building up. And as long as we stay above the June low, so 1672, I think there's a good chance of Amazon resuming higher over the next few weeks. On the daily chart, you can see it's coiling up on this black moving average, which is one of my trend filters. And every time it did test that moving average previously, it resulted in a pause and then a move higher. So it didn't necessarily happen immediately, but I do think that adds to the likelihood for Amazon to return to the 2000 level. 1970 to 2000 is the range that I would look at for resistance at the upside. All right, moving on to YouTube. So there's two things going on with YouTube that tie into actual tickers. So YouTube is owned by Google. So let's take a look at the Google charts. Big sideways range, not a lot actionable. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I don't think there's any clues here as to when a breakout might occur. But let's take a look at the chart of Verizon, because Verizon has partnered with Google to be able to make access to YouTube that much easier. Now, Verizon is also in a big sideways range, but you can see that the Verizon range is much more narrow than the Google range. So we've still got it from $54 to about $61.50. And it's got a much clearer upper boundary potential. So I think this is a stock to watch. It's not actionable yet for a buy, but if it starts to get above $58.67 and put closing daily highs above that, I think there's a good chance it tests this $60 to $61.50 area. And then if you see a closing break above that, well, then you could see it really take off. So that's my take on some tickers that are tied to streaming services either directly as their prime product or service or as a side one. And I think it's definitely a place for a lot of potential growth to the upside. All right, I'll catch you in the next video. You can sign up at himaready.com/tribe gift to get access to more hot, timely, and actionable market analysis.